Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. On this channel we post writing tips, unboxings, book hauls, book reviews and the occasional vlog. And today I have another book review for you, and it is The Haunting Season, Ghostly Tales for Long Winter Nights. This is a series of short horror ghost stories by a lot of famous writers, and ones that I didn't know about but I'm now very into. If you're new here, don't forget, if you like what you see, to subscribe to the channel. Your continued support means a lot, so thank you guys so much. Alrighty, this book came out this October, so October 2023, and it is a collection of short stories. And we have Bridget Collins, author of The Binding and the Betrayals. I have reviewed The Betrayals, that link is above me now. Adore those books. We also have Imogen Hermes Gowar, who's the author of The Mermaid and Mrs. Hancock. I've read that book, I hadn't reviewed it, it's very good. Kieran Millward Hargrave, author of The Mercies. Andrew Michael Hurley, author of The Lonely. Jess Kidd, author of Himself. Elizabeth McNeil, author of The Doll Factory. Natasha Pulley, author of The Watchmaker of Filigree Street. And Laura Purcell, author of The Silent Companions. It is a Sunday Times bestseller, and I did really enjoy it. It's very fast read, but as always I'll read you guys the blurb first. Long before Charles Dickens and Henry James popularised the tradition, the shadowy nights of winter have been a time for people to gather together by the flicker of candlelight and experience the intoxicating thrill of a ghost story. Now 8 best-selling, award-winning authors, all of them master storytellers of the sinister and the macabre, bring the tradition to vivid life in a spellbinding new collection of original Gothic tales. Taking you from the frosty fens to the wild Yorkshire moors to the snow-covered grounds of a haunted estate to a bustling London Christmas market, these mesmerising stories will capture your imagination and serve as your indispensable companion to the cold, dark nights. So curl up, light a candle and fall under the spell of winter past. There is a review here by Sarah Collins, who is a Costa Award-winning author of The Confessions of Franny Langton. You won't find a more thrilling winter read or a better lineup of writers who have mastered the gothic and ghostly. Ew. Now, I'm going to try to make this spoiler-free. If there are any spoilers, I will say spoiler alert and give you time to skip to, but I am going to attempt for a spoiler-free review. I just look at it catching the light. How pretty is that? Look at it shiny. So shiny. So I am very distracted like a magpie by shiny things. What is good about this book as well, so that it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 short stories. So I marked out of 10 every short story, and then I could actually use maths to fully work out the review of this book. I think I'm going to have to make a system where I do this to make my reviews strict, I guess. I feel like I give a lot of really good reviews. Maybe I'm just too nice. Who knows? Let's get into it. So, story 1. A Study in Black and White by Bridget Collins. For me, this one I felt possibly had too much time setting up for something that turned out to be quite easy, I guess. That's how I describe it. It's something that didn't shock me. It's something quite traditional, and it didn't scare me. I didn't get, I wasn't worried when I read this one. I wanted more about the garden. That's all I'm going to say. So I would give the first book in this 6 out of 10 stars, which really shocked me because I absolutely adore Bridget Collins. She is a fantastic writer. It just didn't cut it. That it needed more. Something was missing. The second story is Thwaites Tenant by Imogen Hermes Gowar. This one I thought was better, but still wasn't a scary story. For something that's a haunting season, it wasn't very scary, but I did find it a bit better than the first. I knew the characters more. It had moments of ooh in it, and it did have a good twist at the end, I felt. It had a good moral to the story, so I gave this 8 out of 10 stars. I did enjoy it, and I did think it was a little bit more scary than the first. We then have story number 3, The Eel Singers by Natasha Pulley. This was my favourite in here so far. I adored this story. The characterization was so good. She's an author I'd never read before, and I am definitely getting her books. I need to read about these characters. I think that's what helped Natasha Pulley's the first author in the shorts that have used characters from their actual books in the real world. So they've used characters they've already written books for. So these are very fleshed out, realistic characters that you can tell have a story that you don't know when you're reading it. They have a life that you're not aware of, and that really comes across in the writing. I did get a quote from this one, which I just thought was hilarious. Right, for the 14th time, both of you, the nativity story is not about housebreaking and a worrying pervert. This, seriously, I howled. I thought it was rather spooky, it was believable. I also enjoyed, so I believed our two main characters were gay, but it's not confirmed. I need to read the books, but I loved the representation, loved it, 10 out of 10 stars for me. Story 4, Lily Wilt by Jess Kidd. This one I really didn't like. I thought it started very, it was creepy but in an icky way, so not the kind of scary creepy I'm looking for in reading haunted horror ghost stories. It felt pervy, then it promised a scary story, but I felt it just fell down at the end. It promised so much horror or gruesomeness, and it just didn't deliver that. I'm trying to do this spoiler free, but it's the story of a girl of 17, I believe, who passed away, and she's supposedly so beautiful. The family have opened up the casket for everyone to go and look at her, and I just find that gross. I gave it 3 out of 10 stars. It just wasn't for me. It's not the type of story I'm looking for. Story 5, The Chillingham Chair by Laura Purcell. This one I did really like. It had good characterization. The story developed and went into a way I didn't expect it to. It wasn't just like a creepy, scary story. It had more to it. And what I also liked is the ending. The story continues. It's not finished. So that's continuing on in your head because you don't know the answer. It leaves something left behind, and it really reminded me of Agatha Christie's A Haunting in Venice. It's that type of ghost story. Yeah, I enjoyed. So I gave it 9 out of 10 stars. I felt connected to the characters. I thought the story moved fast-paced enough. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Story number 6, The Hanging of the Greens by Andrew Michael Hurley. This one I thought it was interesting, but there was no real resolution or menace. So it was a haunting and it was stuff going on, but it wasn't a menacing haunting. There wasn't a resolution at the end. There wasn't a reason for the haunting. There wasn't really anything. It was sort of the start of an interesting story, but it all just been squished. The protagonist was a bystander, like the reader was a bystander. So I gave it 5 out of 10 stars. It just lacked something for me. We then have story number 7, Confinement by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. This one I actually found scary. I loved it. I thought it was terrifying and real. I think it helped. It's based on a true story. It's based on historical events, and it's based on real mental illness and things that have been overlooked for a long, long time. Stuff that we're not taught enough about, that really you are just left to your own devices to deal with. And we're not even taught what the symptoms are to look out for. So I really enjoyed it. I'm not going to tell you too much because, it stayed with me. So it's 10 out of 10 stars. That one is good. And finally, the last story in this book is Monster by Elizabeth McNeil. I think when I read this one, I was still actually in shock or in love with the last one, the Kieran Millwood Hargrave short story. So in fairness, I just wanted more of that. So I found that this one, though it was brutal, it wasn't scary. It was just a bit sad, honestly. And I could see hints of why our protagonist was acting like they were, but not enough. The characterization seemed... I didn't know why he was like that, if that makes sense. There wasn't enough in there. So I gave it 4 out of 10 stars. Overall, I thought that this book, it's a really good stocking filler for someone. It's got good stories. It's a really good introduction to authors I didn't know about, so books that I definitely want to read now. So that's good and worthwhile. I did enjoy it. It's a super fast read. The stories are short but interesting. And there were 2 10 out of 10 reads in there and 1 9 out of 10. So that's good going. So 3 out of 8 were very high. So 6 out of 8 reads were over 5 out of 10 stars. So that's not bad. And I actually did maths with this. So overall, with all those separate out of 10 marks, I give this book a 6.9 out of 10 stars. I did enjoy it. It just, some of the stories really brought it down and some of the stories super lifted it up for me. And that's it for this book for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoy what you see. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If you'd like to see as soon as I upload, click that little bell down below. In fact, you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook and Tumblr. I post my bookish pictures as well as my writing tips and unboxings on there. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye!